The Ask the Experts Theater at CSEMP Edge is sponsored by Gaines.
Good evening, gentlemen. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Let me wake myself up after that nice lunch. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you for attending this session. So a brief introduction. My name is really long. It's a Shan. I just go by Shan. Or I have to tell you, the first time I landed in St. Louis, my manager just made me to go by Shan. Now, even in my hometown, they call me Shan now. I started as a supply chain consultant in Atlanta, starting my journey as an analyst for Manhattan Associates. So they're still the leading #1 WMS software company in the world. I'll speak quite a bit about them today. That's where I started the journey. Then in 2013, I and a few of my partners founded ITOrizon as a consulting firm. Now they have become a Gartner-recognized supply chain fulfillment company, specialists in supply chain strategy, supply chain implementation, and supply chain managed services. I'm also in the board of a technology company called Corolium, which does research on AI, zero-code technologies for iPaaS, APaaS, and AAPaaS as well. So today my goal is to share what I've learned in the last 30 years in warehousing and where the warehousing is taking my clients to, and that's my goal today. So my agenda today is just briefly chat with you on where is the warehousing today, whether it is US, Canada. Part of my consulting firm, we also travel to Europe, to Middle East, to India, to Southeast Asia as well. Wherever people are implementing, whether it's a Manhattan Associates software or an Oracle software or a Blue Yonder software or any type of low-code, no-code WMS software, we travel around, and we want to share that knowledge with you. But key thing today is, in terms of AAML, is it just people are thinking, right, like blockchain, it's going to disappear after a few years. Is that one going to happen? Or AI is here to stay, right, for years? That's what I want to share with you. That's the key thing that I want you to have a takeaway. Let's start with where the global landscape of warehouses today. The one point I want to highlight here is, people used to think your warehouse has to be fully automated, meaning I need to bring in my ASRS, I need to bring in my AMRs, I need to bring all the cool latest technology, right, into my warehouse to call that as a modern warehouse. Not really. I still have a lot of clients in the entire warehouse. Their goal is to modernize the warehouse, but they don't have any need to automate anything in that warehouse, meaning they don't need a conveyor. They don't need any mobile robots. They don't need any automation. Then what do they need in terms of modernization? Maybe they need the entire warehouse to be under camera control so that you can do some advanced computer vision with AI and you can find out what's going on in the warehouse. Maybe you can make your entire warehouse voice enabled, right? So there are so many things that they want to do to make the warehouse more modern. So here, if you really notice here, even a manual warehouse where you're not going to put any automation can be completely AI-enabled, IoT-enabled, and can be modernized. That's the thinking we need to have, right? Even as a consultant, I used to think modernization means bring in the robots, right? Bring in AutoStore, bring in everything cool. Even 5 years ago, I used to think, bring in your, the coolest ASRS into the mix. But you're going to have a lot of capital spending, and you're not going to have faster returns. And that is not just modernization. The AI has made us rethink what modernization means for a warehouse. Some of the other things going on in terms of a WMS, still your WMS, whether it is an industry best of the breed WMS in the world or something you wrote on your own, it is still conceived developed, designed, and implemented as an inventory system. So it is as good as the data that you feed into, or it is as good as the data it captures. But if you think about it, a WMS is mainly focused on inventory. And based on that inventory, it's fulfilling your orders, right? That's what it is. Can it really cater to everything else happening inside your warehouse? Not really, because it's a rule-based system. If I take one example, typical example, you have a very narrow aisle, and a lot of forklifts and reach trucks, and even your managers and your directors are walking in. For safety reasons, you want to put in some rules to restrict how many can be there, right? And in the last 20 years, people come to us and ask me, right, how do you configure your Manhattan, even if it's the latest cloud? How do you configure that? If it's a Blue Yonder, how do you configure that? Or your Oracle OCWMS, how do you configure that? But no matter what you configure, it is still a static rule-based system. The system can have rules only based on the data it has. If I take an example, let's say 3 people are walking into the aisle. Unless they go tell the system that I'm into the system doing something in that aisle, the WMS won't even know that. So reality is, still the latest, even the cloud WMS is still an inventory system. It's a task-based system. It will only know what it knows. And what it knows is what your people in the warehouse tells them. But I will touch upon it later, how AI comes in and really helps your warehouse operations. Now you don't take your use cases and your problems, including security, optimization, everything. Instead of taking it to the WMS, there are different platforms and technologies that you can take it to, but still the efficiency you gain is still in a WMS. That's my key goal today. So even another example I can take is, there was a warehouse. It was a 2 million square footage warehouse in Canada. They gave us only 6 months to completely transform that warehouse into a cloud WMS. We were able to do it in a cloud WMS in 4 to 6 months. We were successful. But we still failed because the functions that they need, if you take returns, the returns were 40% in the 2 million square footage warehouse. There is no way in a rule-based returns management system, even inside a WMS, we were able to make the right decisions for returns. So today, standing up here, I can say if I had an AI-based returns, maybe this would have been a different case, right? Likewise, I got so many use cases where AI is opening my eyes. So now if you ask me, like 20 years ago, somebody I know in Atlanta came up with an idea of, I'm going to make a cloud WMS. That gentleman was the CEO of that company. Currently, he is in Accenture as an MD. But even the world #1 player, Manhattan or Blue Yonder, they did not think there is a need for a cloud WMS back then, 28 years ago. They even came up with the cloud native WMS only post-COVID. So you could imagine, in our assessment and where the trend is going, the AI-driven cognitive warehousing is something going to stay. And that's not going to be like blockchain. It is going to be like your cloud, where people were thinking cloud is not going to be the case. Right now, everything is cloud. Likewise, everything is going to be AI. So some of the players in terms of the WMS technology. So I won't spend too much time on the legacy and the hosted. Hosted is not really it did not hit quite well in the market, whether it is, Middle East or India or US. Legacy is still living and it's still live and kicking. Whether you like it or not, even I have to admit, more than 50% of our clients today that we consult on are still on legacy WMS. Most of them are still on legacy technologies. They want to modernize, but the more and more customizations they have done on the data model and the business logic and the orchestrations, integrations, and the augmented solutions that they have built is prohibiting them from modernizing to a SaaS WMS. That's the middle one, the cloud native WMS. During COVID time, even post-COVID, people were skeptical about the cloud native WMS, but now I can tell the world, all around the world, the Manhattan is leading in terms of cloud native WMS. Then, of course, you have the Luminate platform from Blue Yonder. Then you have Infor, Oracle OCWMS, right? All the players are in the cloud now, and they're definitely doing well. And even all the challenges you had in the cloud WMS in terms of performance, latency, integrating with all the automation, all those things have been sorted out now. So now I can confidently say the large warehouses with massive data volume flowing through, massive automation, you're talking about million square footage warehouses with million pick slots, or even 5 to 10 million SKUs, where million SKUs are active. They are able to be in the cloud native WMS, right? I can confidently say that. Even we are currently helping a few customers in Manhattan WMS where they're implementing AutoStore, arts, AMRs and other things as well. But slowly, players from the third one to the fourth one, people are moving towards the LCNC platforms in terms of WMS. Or the players in the cloud native, they are offering some kind of zero code or low code options. If you take Manhattan, they are offering, it's not a LCNC, but still they're offering a proactive framework where your IT can do some customizations. But if you take Infor, they are offering some low code options, but there are quite a few players who are coming and offering low code, no code options in terms of modernizing your warehouse. But where your warehouse should be going is really towards the last one, which is completely cognitive warehouses. Right? It should be AI driven. And my goal today is to explain you, if for you to have a cognitive warehouse, you should have some DNA of the low code, no code platforms and the DNA of the AI infused cognitive platforms as well. So I don't know how many of you are here technology focused, right? Even if you're not technology focused, let's say if you're operations, right, or if your business strategy, still, you can remember these things and ask your IT partners to do these things. The moment they're implementing a WMS system, they should be asking, hey, in the SaaS world, I don't have control on the data. I don't own my data, right? I have to come out of it. How do I come out of that? Where I have control over the data. That's number one. Number two, I want to have control over the APIs, not just the WMS APIs. I should be able to learn APIs of my IT, my external partners, could be players out there, in the exhibit hall. There are, one customer who said, I'm doing risk mitigation in terms of, all my raw materials and any type of sourcing you're doing, right? It could be the risk mitigation on, countries, or it could be on mining, could be child labor, right? So you should be able to orchestrate with different data platforms or other platforms which are feeding you the data so that through those API integrations, you make the final decision. So the decisions are not just inside the WMS or inside your ERP. The decisions has to be holistic. That means that is orchestrated by the IT. If it has to be orchestrated by the IT, then when you pick any application for that matter, you have to choose something which is LCLC enabled, and also API learning is an option there. Then IT should be able to do rapid customizations. If IT cannot do rapid customizations, right, the myth out there is you don't have to do anything, you get the SaaS, and the SaaS will give you everything you need. I have to tell you, they will only give you 50 to 60% of what you need. The 40% that you built yourself or you customized and enhanced yourself in the last 20 years will disappear when you go to SaaS. Then how do you fill it? Maybe you will compromise for 10 to 15%, but the remaining 25%, which defines your competitive advantage, right? That competitive advantage is your business advantage. It needs technology, but technology alone cannot give you that competitive advantage. That 25% competitive advantage is purely business driven. That business driven advantage has to be through rapid customizations. So that is something that you have to ask. Even if you're a business partner, you ask your IT partner, how fast can I get my customizations? How fast can I get my scenario planning? You cannot tell me it will come down after 3 years when Oracle launches it. It will come down after 3 years when some vendor launches it. Because when they launch it, it won't be at the level that you need. And you are not going to need something where the industry says it's the best practice. What industry says as the best practice is just a basic need. What you need as the best practice for your business is your competitive advantage. The SaaS is not going to provide that. That's something we are learning, and we are also collaborating with our IT on that. So now, I want to spend a few minutes on the AI trends. I'll take, on this one, I'll just focus on digital twins. I used to think digital twins is really for a manufacturing plant. You have, some motors, some, boilers, and all kinds of machineries inside the manufacturing plant. It makes sense. But where is digital twin for a warehouse? If you think about it, the modern warehouse, everything should be, there should be cameras, there should be IoT sensors, it should be AI enabled. The moment your warehouse, anything in your warehouse have cameras, AI enabled, then if you have IoT sensors, that's when you can create a digital twin. Meaning, take an example. My entire warehouse of cameras capturing who's walking, what kind of forklifts and what kind of reach trucks are in which aisle, and what kind of damage is happening. Is my pallet built the right way or it's leaning? Is somebody who's really, really doing good as per my system, meaning his productivity is 30% more than my KPI. But he's scanning the right location, but he's putting physically the product in the next location. Will the WMS ever capture that? No. Will the labor management ever capture that? No. What is the new technology? You have cameras which is finding out this person is scanning something here, but putting something, maybe an aisle above, a level above, or maybe even a, aisle to the right or bay to the right, right? These are the things your WMS can never capture. Here is where you can bring in the AI technologies, right? The cameras, the sensors, right? The computer vision. Those are the things where you can create the digital twins. Of course, your conveyors can be on a digital twin. On your automation, your robotics and your AMRs can be definitely on digital twins, right? So digital twin is one thing. Then another trend is, if you have the latest automation, you don't even have to worry about AML and optimization, because the company which provides the hardware to you, they provide the software and they have the AI engine, so it's completely AI enabled, right? But let's take an example. Inventory tracking. As I said, the example I took was the person is performing at a higher level. You want to incentivize them for their faster put away process. And you are even capturing that metric. But what he's doing as a mistake is not captured in WMS, right? The only way to capture that is if your technology in your warehouse, including any type of cameras or any type of other IoTs or any type of systems you have implemented, can capture that, only then you can really find out, right, if the mistake is happening and you can correct it. If not, one, your inventory is wrong, and you're also overburdening somebody, because somebody is thinking I'm paid more because I just have to do it fast. Because he's not paid more to do things accurately. He's paid more for just doing things more. But your system is capturing as if he's doing more, but he's not doing more, he's doing less, right? Because you're doing incorrect things, right? Another example I can take is the predictive maintenance. Let's say you have a warehouse, you don't even have automation, you just have forklifts. You have forklifts, you have cameras, but you are using your camera technology to do the guard check-ins and guard checkouts. You are using your forklifts, maybe the forklifts, you want to make sure you have enough forklifts properly, taken to the proper place. It is, getting enough juice it needs for the next shift. You're managing all that. You ask a WMS system, can you do all these things? They will say, no, that's not my job. Your job is to find the right labor, train the right labor, assign them the right task. My job is to capture the data, right? I'm not going to make sure is the battery is going to die down middle of the pick path. I'm not going to even find out, right, if the person is experienced person, but he is slacking in the afternoon because he's losing it, right? Because he's tired, or he's sick. He still showed up to work. But these are the things we can find out through different technologies, right? Then you can take different actions. So those are the things. If it is human beings, the current WMS cannot really help you to make the right decisions on humans to do the right task. That's one thing. Second one, how do you minimize the human interventions that they cannot do? The third one is all the machineries you have. How do you take the predictive maintenance? Unless you have AAML, all you can do is look into the data. If the data is not able to predict what's supposed to happen, whether it is your conveyor maintenance, your AMR maintenance, or it could be just your forklifts or AGVs, does not matter. It could be even cameras. The whole thing in your warehouse can be brought inside a network where you are monitoring through digital twins and give the data to AML, and AML can come back and predict you, this is the way you do the predictive maintenance. But some of the frameworks we have implemented is you don't have to shut it and forget it. The frameworks are so advanced and matured right now, which can come and tell you, you are thinking the life of this machine is 2 years, but I'm predicting this is going to fail in 12 months. But if you want to extend it to at least 18 months, instead of doing your maintenance every 6 weeks, do it every 4 weeks. But let's say your engineer says, you know what, I don't have the bandwidth to do it. Okay? The AML made you all the predictions. It gave you all the data, but you go change your engineering parameters to say, you know what, maybe I'll try 5 weeks, right? So these are the frameworks available, meaning IoT, AML. Still, there is a manual intervention from your engineers to plug in their data, then there is a final decision happening, right? So the current trend is you have the technology available to you with the latest IoT, the latest AML and everything at a very, very low cost. You just have to try it out and you just have to experience it out. Yeah. And we don't have to be afraid anymore that how can I trust the AI, because it is predicting so many things, which I totally agree with you. You don't have to trust the AI that it is telling you everything right. But what you can trust is it is definitely looking into the data that I cannot, as a human being, with all the knowledge I have, with my knowledge that I've gained in the 30 years, and with the analytic thinking that I have, and the algorithms that I can code or compose or configure, I cannot find out. Because my brain can only relate data which is related. AML can relate data which is not related. That's the way AML works. So that's the reason the artificial intelligence and the human intelligence are two different things. The artificial intelligence is really relating data which is completely unrelated. And the data need not be even the WMS data or the ERP data. It can take the data from all your equipments, all your devices. Even it can have sensors, what's going on here, what is the air quality level, what is the temperature level, what is, the human being who is driving the forklift, right? Are they alert? It can take all the data and finally make the decisions. But when it makes the decisions, it is prescribing to somebody, some system. Can that system or that person understand what you're saying, right? That's the level of sophistication you need in your warehouse. So if I go, I will skip. I think we touched, okay. I used to think in a warehouse, whether it's a raw material warehouse or a finished goods warehouse, how much stock do you really need is not really my headache, right? How much stock do you need? Safety stock, reorder points, it's all, my ERP has to do it, right? But in modern world, most of your warehouses are run by 3PLs, right? You're outsourcing it to somebody. I recently, like 3 months ago, worked with a company. They have outsourced everything. Data entry is happening in China through a company. Warehouses are run by some other company. This company just conceived a very great idea. They have become a multi-billion-dollar company selling and distributing medical products and supplies and equipments. But I was amazed, they don't have anything in-house. Everything is outsourced. If everything is outsourced, then they came to us and said, I still, the 3PL, they are telling me, I will only house the product, whatever you're sending it to me. I'm not going to determine what you need because I'm not running your business. I'm running just your supply chain, right? Not even your supply chain. I'm just housing your inventory and shipping it out. So then they don't even have an ERP because they don't need an ERP. Then we came in and said, you know what? Are you open to AML? If you're open to AI, then we can connect your procurement data, which is really your suppliers. You don't even really have a data. Then I can connect to your 3PLs who are doing your fulfillment. Then I can connect all kinds of market data, put everything into AML, now come back and tell you the variability of procurement is this, the variability of the fulfillment is this, the unknown variability based on transportation delays or tariff or all the other things are this. Now you put everything together, unpredict, this should be the reorder point, this should be the safety stock. Are you willing to take it? They said, yes, this is exactly what I look for. I want to take it. But they said, I can't completely rely on this. You tell me, I will trust it, but I will just still want adoption. My planning people will still see every output that you give me. I still want them to run their own thinking, click buttons, make the final algorithm, choose even what is the preferred safety stock for that particular family of product, now upload it to my SAP. They, then they are determined, because they have SAP Ariba to create the purchase orders, finally, right? So you can imagine where the trend is, right? So the trend is AML is solving some of the problems that you cannot solve today, right? So here we have documented, right, some of the projects we have done for our clients on predictive maintenance, dynamic slotting, automated replenishment, which is that safety stock, labor forecasting. We have documented what kind of business outcomes they were looking for and what kind of KPIs they were tracking. Okay. So as part of my wrap-up, I just want to share, if you really want a cognitive warehouse, what should be the blueprint, right? So since we do a lot of research on supply chain, warehousing, technology, low code, no code, AML, so we publish, once in a while, like every quarter, some kind of a blueprint. What should be your IT blueprint, supply chain blueprint, WMS blueprint, right? Modernizing your WMS blueprint or your, FISMA blueprint. So out of that, this is the first time we are publishing this as a what should be your agentic AI transformation blueprint. So this has 3 steps. Step number 1 is, in your warehouse, the moment you have a warehouse, you will have a WMS. It will be definitely connected to your ERP. ERP means it could be your procurement system, planning system, transportation system, or order management or distributed order management system. Does not matter. We just bucketed that as an ERP. You will have automation. Could be your robots, could be your conveyors, unit sorters, voice, you name it. Equipment is your forklifts or your AGVs. IoT is your any type of your, anything connected to your sensors, right? Could be your camera network for God check in, God check out, or travel aisle check, or safety check, or whatever it is, right? Could be pallets, right? Perfect pallets. A lot of people are even checking empty shelves, empty, pick slots, right? All these 5 boxes, the first thing you have to do is, you may be either modernizing it to a newer system or upgrading, or you are procuring something, right? Going through an RFI and RFP. The 3 things you cannot miss is, 1, it has to be AI enabled, right? It should not be even an option. Anything that you procure, they have to say, I am AI ready. If they say I'm not AI ready, then guaranteed you will have another implementation or another RFI later. Second is, it has to be IoT enabled, not your applications, but any equipment you're going, right? It has to be IoT, it has to have a sensor, it has to feed the data. Then the third one is, it has to be API enabled. Meaning, if you take an example, I implemented a very sophisticated German-based ASRS system, but the pallet locations were double deep. I could not find any WMS sophisticated enough which can smartly track double deep locations. It can track double deep as I can put 2 pallets, but it won't know which is in the front, which is in the back. But these ASRS automation vendors, they are going even up to 4 pallet deep. But when the WMS cannot track where it is, then the debate was either everything has to be a black box to WMS, or everything has to be a black box to ASRS. But everything cannot be a black box to ASRS because they are the one who has to know where the pallet is in the 4 deep location. So I have to give up as a WMS consultant and say, in a WMS, I can only track total SKU, total units. That's all. That means I cannot micro-orchestrate anything, including cycle counting or re-optimization, anything in that allocation process. I can only allocate SKU quantity. That means I have to leave everything to the ASRS system. But what you have to start asking is, the story there was, anytime I touch something now, they were asking million euros. So now that sophisticated warehouse of 4-storied warehouse currently is stuck in an old automation system and an old WMS. We could not implement anything new because the cost of implementing it, because they didn't ask this question, right? No matter what you're procuring, whether it is a WMS or an ASRS system or a WCS, you need to ask them, everything you have as a function should be API enabled. Meaning, I want to put your entire aisle on hold. Can you do this as a WMS vendor? Because I won't send anybody there. If they say, no, I have that control, then you have to say, no, I want that control. Because in the IT or in my business orchestration, I have to have the levers with me when to put that on hold. It could be at the level of an aisle in a warehouse where there is nothing happening, or it could be inside an ASRS system, completely black box, but I still want that control. Or it could be a camera, it could be an IoT device. Anything that you procure from now on, you want an ability to talk to it. Through IoT, through APIs, you want an ability to talk to it. If you do not have an ability to talk to it, that's when they will say, it will all work, but it will all work only when I touch it. When you touch it, it will all won't work. But only if anything that you buy can only work if a system integrator comes, I will make money. But the thing is, you won't have the influence and you won't have the power, right? Because we are limited. Whether I'm the vendor or a system integrator, we don't have unlimited people. We are willing to share the knowledge with you, but if you have to send people everywhere, we don't have that amount of people. That's the reason we need to ask people, right? Any software or hardware or equipment or sensor you're buying, is that AI ready? Is that IoT ready? And is that API ready, right? That's something you ought to ask. Once you get here, if you want to go to the next level, then you need to put all the 5 boxes under a framework. You need to build this platform yourself. But there are so many technologies out there. But this should be controlled by your IT. Your IT should have a platform which should have a unified actionable data API on AI. Why unified data? The cloud data in the SaaS world, it's not owned by you, no matter how much money you give. Even if you double the money, they will only replicate the data and give it to you. The replicated data is good only for reporting, analytics. It's not good for actions because it's a replicated database. It's not real time. So you need to the IT has to get the power back. That's the reason you need to ask your SaaS providers, I want ability to touch your data, or you need to have your own unified actionable data platform where you can touch the data. If I take an example, I'm looking into my data. It's an order. I want to put the order on hold for whatever reason. Maybe the customer canceled it. Maybe my transportation planning was wrong, right? Meaning my truck is full. Or, the customers, I see this in the Southeast Asia and Middle East market all the time. The customer won't say, don't bring it to me, because there is no penalty for taking it to them. But they will reject it when you go to their home. And they will say, bring it back the next day. But whoever knows WMS, once you ship it out, you can't take it back. You need to receive it with an ASN, put it away, again run another order. It's a big deal in terms of any WMS, even your latest #1 WMS. Once you ship it out, you can't reship again. It's a big deal, right? But how much process and money and storage you want to give? So these are the places where you have to have your own platform. All you should have done is don't ship it. Just put the order on hold, right? Ship it only when the customer takes delivery, right? So something like that. So that's the reason you definitely need to have your own actionable data platform, and that platform should be able to learn any API. If you take Oracle WMS, they provide almost 500 APIs. Manhattan, same way, so many APIs. But can you learn APIs? Meaning, I'm not talking about you code for every API, but if your IT sits and codes for every API, trust me, you got to spend millions and millions in maintenance and millions in development, right? I'm not talking about that. You need a platform which can, by click of a button, every day can I learn 500 APIs. Once I learn those APIs, it's available to me, then I can orchestrate and direct and prescribe and predict anything I want. Then AI platform. You don't have to build AI platforms because there are so many AI platforms out there, because all the AI algorithms are open source. I have not seen anybody, they will have a sophisticated data science team, but I have not seen anybody developing algorithms. They are only using the open source algorithms and enhancing it. Majority of the time, I am seeing the data science team using the algorithms open source, but where do they put their brain is into cleansing the data. But if IT and ops can definitely take up that work of cleaning the data through business rules and IT rules, then the data scientists don't have to do that, right? They only have to do what the data scientists have to do, right? Meaning there are some, technical things that they have to do, like missing value treatments and a lot of other things they have to do, which you cannot do. But in terms of IT and business, we should not be giving them, data which is not accurate, not correct. At least to the level of business rules and IT rules, we have to incorporate it, then feed the data to them. But if you have your own data platform, API learning, AI ready, then that's a second layer. Then the third layer is only if you have the 5 blocks filled with AI, then once you have your AI platform with APIs and other things, then you can have your agentic AI, right? It cannot be the other way around. Now, even every vendor out there, software, from SAP to Oracle to Info to Blue Yonders to Manhattans, everybody are saying, yes, I have my own agentic AI framework, which is true, right? They're going to offer you, but they can only solve it in the smaller box, right? If you look inside, right? WMS, that's one box. ERP is another box. Automation. Even in automation, you may have 5 vendors in your warehouse. So everybody are going to give you that agentic AI only in their box. That means they can solve the problem only in that silo. But your business problem and your IT operational problem in your warehouse, it is not silo. Any problem that you take is going to touch a WMS, an ERP, your automation, your equipment, and your IoT. Then, of course, your labor and your cost. At the cost of what as well? Because if it's going to cost you more labor and more money and more time, you are not going to redo the slotting. You're not going to redo anything that the AI suggests in terms of a WMS, meaning a silo system suggesting if you take a WMS, every suggestion it makes will be based on either master data or inventory data. It is not going to be based on labor, air quality, and all the other things I said, right? Safety. Then how can you make that decision, which has to be holistic for your operations? What is important for your warehouse? If the quality is important for your warehouse, if safety is important for your warehouse, right? It's not that for your warehouse, what is important is, always, of course, inventory accuracy is important, right? Your fulfillment rate is important. But at the cost of what? If it is going to cost you safety, if it's going to cost you more labor, if it's going to cost you more money, right, then you're not going to go for it, right? That's the reason it is very, very important for you to truly have a sophisticated cognitive warehouse at a level where you can do agentic AI. Then you definitely have to have all the boxes filled with AI. Then around it, the blue, square, which is the unified actionable data platform. Then on top of it, your IT has to have their, agentic AI direction. This should be in their roadmap. And this is the blueprint. So step 1, 2, 3, and wish you all good luck. That's all I had. Thank you. Yeah, we'll be happy to share our, email addresses and contact information if you need. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Yeah. Any questions from anyone? No problem. If not, thanks everyone. Thank you.